Hello, friends. You may know that Western Pennsylvania is sports heaven. I live in Beaver Falls, the legendary hometown of Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Namath. From my house, I can drive to the boyhood homes of Joe Montana, Jim Kelly, Johnny Unitas, Dan Marino, George Blanda, Stan Musial, Ken Griffey, and Bill Mazeroski in one day, and I can be home for supper. But I am here to testify that not all of our residents have been blessed with athletic ability. I have been part of some of the most inept athletic teams ever to compete, and furthermore, I have been personally responsible for some of the most humiliating defeats ever endured by several of these teams. My high school football team became the stuff of legend when we quit at halftime because it was too hot. That's right. We sent word to the opposing locker room that we just quit. Most of the guys were lying prostrate, sucking wind, semi-conscious, and I was in a bad way because at the end of the half I took a huge hit from a guy who immediately started crying because he thought he'd killed me. I will not mention the name of the team, as there are a few members who did not immediately move from the area or die of embarrassment, and whose reputations would be irreparably harmed in this athletic mecca. As a young boy, I endured the psychological torment of pickup baseball. On a good day, I was picked last and played right field. On a bad day, I was not picked at all, and they played without a right fielder. To think that one's team value is just below nobody at all is pretty depressing. I wouldn't say that sports involvement has contributed to my overall psychological well-being. In retrospect, it probably instilled in me a profound sense of insecurity and several years of therapy not covered by my health plan. Today, I am an avid sports fan, far more suited to watching than participating, with an undying loyalty to the underdog. I am only comforted when I read the Scripture and observe who God picks for His teams. Hardly those you would expect. The whole history of God's dealing with man is a history of the failure of men who seem well-equipped to do the job, being supplanted by God's choice, whose only attribute was that he or she believed God. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, David, Samson, Gideon, Ruth, Peter. Unlikely choices, all. God chooses the weak to shame the strong, to show that His power is sufficient. Let's take a look at the team God assembled for the birth of His Son at this Christmas time. Number 1, Mary of Nazareth. Our Blessed Mother, an unlikely choice to be the mother of the Messiah since she's not married and can therefore not legitimately give birth. Mary consented to have her reputation ruined for the remainder of her life and to give birth to a child that others could only assume to be the fruit of her promiscuity. Her chief incredulity must have been that God would want this for Himself, but she would spend her life pondering the strange ways of God. 2, Joseph of Nazareth, carpenter by day, dreamer of dreams by night. Probably most of his friends and neighbors believed him to be a weak man who did not have the courage to punish his wife for her unfaithfulness, to marry her after she humiliated him, and to live in the same town. The remainder of his life must not have been pleasant for him. He had to eschew public opinion, to obey his dreams as to what to do with Mary and Jesus. I wouldn't want to have to explain that to anyone, and I'm sure Joseph didn't. A strange fellow, this otherworldly woodsmith. Number 3, animals. See a lot of things. I'm happy they can't talk about. Most animals act more Christianly than the baptized. But certainly they're not held in high esteem as witnesses. Also, they're most unwelcome in places where hygiene is important and a delicate fragrance is appreciated, not usually present at human births. Shepherds, also not appreciated where not offensive fragrance is a priority. These nomads lived with the sheep and were looked down upon for their need to work on the Sabbath. They were the lowest rung of the social ladder, one perhaps above the lepers, and their testimony, like the testimony of women, was unacceptable in court. It must have been particularly bad to be a female shepherd, but I digress. Wise men. This is the name we have given to those who come from the east to witness the birth of the new king. Actually, they were astrologers whose mysteries were forbidden to the Jews and to us. Consulting astrologers, mediums, or those who practiced sorcery was heinous. These men, however, played their part in the Nativity saga, nobly exercising perseverance in what must have been an arduous journey, akin to that of Abraham 2 millennia earlier. They must have been far more than 3 of them to undertake such a lengthy and dangerous trek. They sacrificed their personal fortunes, braved the wrath of a crazy homicidal monarch, and returned home to plow the earth for the seed that would one day come with the apostle, teaching the message of the new king. Yet these men would have been despised and their testimony useless to the countrymen of Jesus. How often more faithfulness and understanding is found outside the children of privilege than within it. Last of all, the babe himself was not what people were expecting as their Messiah. The popular expectation was a warrior king who would free the Jews from the drudgery of their captivity and rule them in an eternal kingdom of perpetual delight. The life of this babe did not unfold in that way. His countercultural life and teaching made even the Baptist send messengers to him to inquire if somehow he had made a mistake. The sky grew bright and loud with the angelic host singing loud hosannas to the King. As they looked down on this collection of third stringers, they may well have questioned God's public relations skills. How could this entrance into the human condition be more inglorious? How could this collection of commoners have less potential to change the hearts of men? But this is always God's way, and it somehow gives me great solace to be unqualified for other teams if I can be part of this team. May my testimony be faithful, even if it's not believed, and I myself am thought unworthy. Christmas blessings on all of you from our team here at St. Francis de Sales. Have a great day.